Well, that's a new way to get applause, for sure. This is a pretty high-tech organization when you can do that and everything. What an exciting day today. Aaron, are we live, I think? What an exciting day today. And I'm Darren Van Tassel, the owner and team president of Tormenta FC, and we're really excited to welcome our viewing audience who's tracking us from all over the place, in addition to the wonderful crowd we have here at the clubhouse. It's an exciting day for Tormenta. That has to be one of the most overused phrases that Tormenta has used in our short history, that it's an exciting day. When we first announced that a new soccer franchise was coming to the city of Statesboro, we were at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we packed it in there, and a lot of the same faces that are here today are back. But there are also faces here today that I have to recognize that they were doing something very different 6 years ago. Adrian Billhart's in the audience today. He's one of our top players with Tormenta in the first team and a professional player. Adrian's got a knee brace on, so he's going to be rehabbing, but he's with us today. And 6 years ago, Adrian was still thinking about finishing up high school before we got to this spot. We've got two Georgia Southern coaches in the audience today. Coach John Murphy on the men's side and Coach Chris Adams on the women's side. And it's a wonderful pleasure to have them today that are here too. Jim Robbins is a new hire for us at Tormenta FC. And every time I think we've held a press conference, Roy Thompson and Midgie Thompson have both been here to support us too. Our Cat 5 fans are here, and of course, Tormenta front office staff. The USL has really grown, and it's been a fantastic time for us to be a part of it. We started off in what was called the PDL then. Now we know it as USL League 2. We have a team that plays there, and we're off to a nice start. We have a first team, our professional men who play in USL 1. They're on the buses right now, on their way down to Orlando, and in a COVID world, we drive to Orlando to play Toronto FC. That's the only way that works. By the way, they're all on the bus listening to us today, and guys, big shout out to on the bus. Our USL2 team is driving up to Atlanta today for a game, and they're all listening in. Our USL Academy team plays its first game today in Atlanta at 4:30, and Tormenta will be there playing. And now today we get to announce our USL women's team. Those are four big organizations. They all live right here in Statesboro, the Coastal Empire, Lowcountry of South Carolina, because that's where Tormenta hails from. I don't think there are very many franchises in North America that have all four. But what a huge attribute it is to us, and we're beyond honored to do so. There's some questions that people would have. What's the team going to be called? We'll hold off on that just a second. We've got some time. We're going to start playing in 2022. Today, the USL is announcing the first 8 members of the USLW. By the time we start playing on the pitch in the new stadium next year, there should be a minimum of 30, but we should be far in excess of that as a league too. And some of these teams are going to be, franchises are going to be names that you remember, who are already rivals of Tormenta, who are also joining in on the women's side to watch us grow. They'll be in the USL, and I think you'll be surprised to hear some of the names that are going to be announced as some of the original 5. We're going to answer some of those questions as we get going. We've got some folks to introduce. Thank goodness I'm the only male you will hear with the microphone today, because my longtime business partner, marital partner, and quite frankly, one of the chief operations and brains behind Tormenta FC, Nitra Van Tassel, I'm going to hand the mic over to her. She did a much better job on the video and sort of talk us through some next steps. We've got some other folks we're going to introduce, and we'll do some questions and answers. You guys think about your questions coming up. Thank you, Nitra.
Hello. Ooh, okay. I think this is working. This is definitely not my spot usually. I defer to Darren to do all of this kind of thing, but I'm so excited to be here because for women, this is a big deal. I remember when I was at Georgia Southern, long time ago, I swam for Georgia Southern. And I remember at that time, we had a men's team and a women's team when we first started. But then the men's team was dropped because of that equity that needed to happen. So seeing firsthand as an athlete myself, that difficult sort of boundary and balance that you make in order to give the quality that the women need was very evident to me at the time as, wow, you know, what happens and how do we balance that and how do we get the women the support and the guidance and all that they need. Growing up and seeing and watching all of that happen, not only as an athlete, but as a businesswoman, and to see the changes over the many years and where that has taken us, to me is astounding. I spoke to our men's team recently about, you know, the women in business and how do you do all of that and how do you treat women properly and as a businessman and in a sport. And one of the things I remember saying there was, how can we change the world so that when our children's children come around, we're not even having to worry about talking about this because it's a different place. And for me, this and adding a women's league to our business as it stands right now, which tilts very much to the men, which is fabulous, but adding that women's line, honestly, like I said in the video, I almost don't have words. It's super exciting, and I just can't pinpoint the exact feeling for me that comes about. So to see young men, young women, and young men playing together in an equitable fashion is so exciting. I hear something that Darren says a lot, and I'm going to say it slightly differently, but excellence can come from anywhere. And in our small town and in our community in South Georgia and you know, the Lowcountry of South Carolina and where we land with all of our youth academies, we have some talented young individuals, men and women, and to have a place now that the young women can see what heights they can get to, that is why we are going to do what we do. To be able to watch and have close to where we live the talent that we have and watch it blossom and grow, that's the exciting time. That is why we're doing what we're doing. So again today, so thank you so much for coming to celebrate the women in Tormenta. Thank you.
One of the best soccer players that I've been able to watch grow up over time. I first saw this player when she was about 11 or 12, and then I watched this player move on to some of the most elite settings. Went on to have an outstanding collegiate career, and now she's a part of Tormenta in the front office. But she was always a part of being as a player, and when I think the joy of having Erin O'Hearn today and really speak to you today now that she's gone through the program, played an elite player, won championships at Furman University. It's the only downside I know of Erin that she went to Furman, but that's okay. I've always pulled for Erin O'Hearn. Erin, thanks for being here today. I want to have you up and sort of speak to, at the press conference a bit, if you will, of what this sort of means to an academy that you grew up in, as a female who's played at the highest of elite levels in this country, and where you think this fits in with the larger picture of what's going on. Erin O'Hearn, everybody.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erin O'Hearn. I was born in Savannah, Georgia back in 1997, and I have always lived in Savannah. I have grown up playing soccer in Savannah. My passion for soccer started right here with Statesboro, with Tormenta. They gave me a dream. They gave me a vision, something to work forward to. But people always kind of ask me, what is your goal? What are your dreams? Where do you want to end up? Where do you see yourself? And for me, it was, I want to play college soccer. That was my goal. That was my dream. That was my kind of point to make it to. And thankfully with Tormenta, they provided a space for me where I could reach that goal. And I went on and I thrived, and I loved my college experience. Experienced it to the most. We won championships, we lost games, we did it all. And I wouldn't trade a moment of it for the world. But my one thing I lacked in my experience was the envisionment or the goal to become a professional player. I never said I want to be a professional player. It wasn't something I thought was an option for me. I never had the role models in my college and my youth experience that said to me, you can be a women's professional soccer player if you want to. For me, my goal and my dream was college soccer. And so I achieved that dream thanks to the academy. I get to watch my little sister achieve that dream, still continuing as she plays at Furman University. And I get to watch my little brother go off and hopefully pursue his dream of college soccer. And he's already a professional, so he's beat me out on that level, which is tough to say, having a little brother kind of one-up me. But I am so excited that Tormenta has created this space for women's soccer and to have it here in South Georgia. I've seen my friends in Atlanta, I've seen my friends in Charlotte, in Orlando, and in Jacksonville go through the same thing that I went through, but I think we have something truly unique here in South Georgia, and I think creating an academy that cares, having coaches that care, having owners that really get to know you and want to be there for you and support you and see you go off and do amazing things is what makes Tormenta really special. So I have loved my experience with Tormenta. I'm so excited that this is something that we get to do, and we get to have a professional women's soccer team here with the help of USL. I think it's something that we're going to make leaps and bounds in and set the standard across the country and create an environment for women's soccer, something that's just getting started here. So I'm honored that I get to be here today. I'm honored that I get to be part of something that creates a space for younger girls to say, I want to be a professional athlete. I want to be a professional soccer player. If I could go back and do it again, I would look at Darren Van Tassel and Mitra and say, look, guys, I'm going to be a Tormenta soccer player. I'm going to be a professional soccer player here. So I'm excited. Maybe there's still an opportunity for me, but I'm excited that all these younger girls have role models to look up to and get to say, I'm going to be a pro one day. So with that, I think Darren's got another special guest to bring up here today, but I just wanted to say thanks again to Tormenta for creating this space for female soccer players here in South Georgia.
Perfect, Aaron. It's time to start training. So just a couple details before I call up really our next guest. And this team will start playing in 2022. For those of us that are fans of the USL2 team, it'll look very similar. It will have a very similar schedule. May, June, and July is when the new Tormenta FC women's team will move in. It's not going to be Tormenta FC women for long. We are going to sort of talk about that on the backside in terms of what the new name will be and how it will fit under some things. Like all things Tormenta, we'll probably poll our fans and have a contest, and more details on that in just a minute. But to give you a feel and flavor, it will be the top academy players, the top collegiate players, and maybe some players much like Aaron O'Hearn who finished their collegiate experience can be here. And Coach Adams, who's sitting in the back, I hope we have those top Georgia Southern players who can move through here and play at this level as Tormenta tries to win championships on that side too. Hands down, the best story we probably heard today was the one Nitra said at the end of the video, where 3 years ago, she was 8 by the way, where we had a very young Tormenta fan and player in our academy tell us that she wanted to be the first ever female professional player. That young girl, and soon she's growing now, she's 11, and Tristan Mays is in the audience with us today. And Tristan, if you're going to come up, Miss Nitra's going to move the chair over. We're going to have you part of this piece today. You're going to just come up and sit up here. Aaron, I think we're good on the camera still. Tristan, what an honor to have you here today. It's been 3 years since we first talked about this. You got to hear from Nitra on the video today. You know, this is a big day. The academy that you belong to is now having a team at the highest of levels here in the U.S. And I thought I'd just ask you for some quick thoughts about what's running through your head.
I feel like having a pro women's team makes an opportunity for me and other women to go further in soccer. And ever since I started with Tormenta, it's always made me wonder what it would be like with a women's pro team.
Tristan has been in our, how long have you been playing with our academy?
5 years.
5 years. That feels like 7 for me too. And who are some of the coaches that you've had during those 7 years? Are there several that stand out?
I've had Coach Io, I've had Josh Phelps, and Coach George.
So I want you to just think about one of the things that's been real important to us at Tormenta. The 3 people she just mentioned, Io Sosu played on our first ever team that was here, and he coached Tristan. Josh Phelps has been he was the first player to ever sign a professional USL contract. He's still one of our figureheads and a fan favorite and on his way to Orlando. Josh, I know you're listening. That's important too. And the third coach she mentioned was Coach George. All 3 of those folks, those are some of our best, and they dip down to it. George Gonzalez is one of our professional assistant coaches, and he's also coaching Tristan. Josh Phelps, one of our captains, who's been here for a long time, he's getting ready today, but when he's not training, he's coaching people in our academy, and that's a real tribute. That doesn't happen very often for those of you that are sort of listening to some of this. As you think back to all of those things, tell me what it's like to be a player in Tormenta's academy, Tristan.
Being a player, getting to train with these pro coaches and players, it let me see that they're very kind and that they will be willing to train people like me who are just starting off with Tormenta. It makes me feel so great.
We should give Tristan a round of applause, everybody. Thank you for coming out very much. Tristan, you're right. You remind me a lot of Erin when Erin was your age. It's just like yesterday, but that's what happens when we age. There are so many good stories going on. And let me just touch on a few of them, and then we'll do some questions and answers, I think, at this point. And we'll take some questions from the media that's here, but this is a fan-friendly zone, and you should feel free to answer some questions, too. The national broadcast is going on right now from the USL. 8 teams are being announced today. I think we should probably give each of those home markets the chance to enjoy who those names are then going out. If you're following on Twitter, some of them have already gone, and Tormenta has been announced nationally at the moment. It's an exciting time to be on the growth of this game. We've said this so many times, but it's incredibly worth reminding. For sports fans in the United States, whether you're a baseball or basketball or American football fan, most of us became fans because someone older than us introduced us to the game. Probably somebody in our family, our parents, our grandparents, and it got handed down to us. But soccer in the United States is on a completely different trajectory. It's being handed up. Tristan's parents who are here today, congratulations on wonderful parenting skills. You got a great athlete on your hands. But part of you guys are a great example where soccer's come into your life because it's been handed up to you from below. I was introduced to soccer because it was handed up. Nitra and I were from our son. That's a trajectory that is absolutely filled with gasoline, if you like matches on it, in the nice way. And it is overtaking our country in so many positive ways. 2026, the Men's World Cup will be in the United States. The men have a lot of work to do to catch up with the women on the international scene. And we're doing our part on the men's side to do it, and now we couldn't be happier to join as an organization to help grow the game for women in terms of our national team's objectives by doing really well on our end. I thought I'd take some questions from the press or the audience that might have some right now and sort of see where we are or stuff that might be running through your head. Yeah, great job. So thanks, Bernadette. So if you'll go to the website, Tormenta FC, there's a couple of things. There's a link already there where we're taking season ticket deposits, not surprisingly. And there's a $50 deposit for next season, and a portion of that will go straight to the IBIS Foundation. In terms of we're raising money, Francis Desiderio, who's the president of the IBIS Foundation, is here to help grow the game of soccer in our middle schools and our high schools in this area. Financially, that support's needed, and Tormenta is really excited to help support that nonprofit organization. You'll also find some links there, I think, for some merchandise, for some USLW merchandise. You saw on the video there, you can see the logo. That's going to be the next hot piece that you can get. That's that company that's helping us with those merchandise, those sales are also, there's proceeds of that are going back to helping grow the women's game. Probably locally, though, is what we'd be interested in the most. And there is a link there on our website, and it's active now, I think, Bernadette, where folks can start to weigh in. And we did a community poll where we came up with the name of Tormenta FC. We're going to start asking our fan base and others to weigh in on what the name should be of the new club. We'd like for it to stay inside the Tormenta FC family, of course, and we'll see. We're gonna run that for a couple weeks here, see what we learn, and it's going to be a fun time to follow all of that. USLW scarves and other sorts of things are going to be housed there. If FedEx had arrived on time, we might even had some of those here today. Other questions? Yeah, the question was why USLW? That is the question of the day. I think one of the reasons when Tormenta was first started, that the reason the USL was chosen, because it was a league that felt centralized, that felt together and organized enough to help us grow this game. We can't play enough soccer in this country. There are lots of different organizations. There's different umbrellas that are being played under. But the USL is our home. It's home to the championship division, which is a league above us. But we already have teams in USL 1, in USL 2, in the USL Academy, and the USLW was a glaring omission for us to do. So when the league announced that it wanted to get back in the women's soccer business, we were honored to be one of the first to join in. We have a very large academy, almost 1,500 families stretching from Statesboro to Savannah and Richmond Hill into Effingham and into Bluffton and Hilton Head and other parts of South Carolina. That's a big footprint. When you're the smallest professional market in the United States, you need big footprints to make all those things work. And we need players in our academy. We need more fans to be able to watch them. And when you're building the stadium that we've talked about for a long time, we've got to have all of the best players in our area playing in there. Whether that's the best players playing, quite frankly, for Georgia Southern on the men's side and Georgia Southern on the women's side, or the best players in our academy or all those USL programs. And the USL, for us, is one of those organizations that really gets it. And what an honor for us to be one of the first 8. I think we started by saying it's an exciting day for Tormenta FC, and it's gonna end being an exciting day for Tormenta FC. I think the super fans in the room have to go get in a car so we can drive to Atlanta to watch the second team play, to get up there to watch the second half of the academy play, and then to get down to Orlando tomorrow to watch the first team. And for those of you that don't travel, the good news is you can all watch them live on ESPN Plus and all the other things. Lots of friends of mine in the room today. That means a lot to me that you're here, but there are also some people here that are just big fans of what we're doing. Thanks to the press for being here. We'll offer some time to set it aside to get in front of those cameras, and thanks everybody for coming. Vamos Tormenta.